So, folks, welcome to Good Morning Cannabis. I have my friend Mark McGrath. So, Mark is actually a very unique person because he brings a whole lot of different experiences. And Mark, I'm going to have you kind of share a little bit about your background, who you are. But my real question to you is, what in the world is happening in the cannabis industry right now, both locally, where we're calling from the Northeast, and maybe nationally? And where do you see it going into the future, say the next 12 to 18 months? But start off by kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, Mark. And then I'm just going to be quiet and listen. I don't have any more potato chips to eat, but maybe I'll leave and get some while you're talking. But go right
That's,
ahead, my friend.
that sounds good, Todd. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I started in the cannabis industry in 2014 with Tuatara Capital. They were a private equity firm investing just in the legal cannabis space. At the time, very small, very early, 2014. Colorado was just coming online. So with them, I was involved with investor relations, fund administration, company due diligence, and we had raised close to $300 million during my
Wow.
time there.
Wow.
It really gave me a perspective of what was investable, what could be successful in this operating environment of a federally illegal drug, and also just how they were operating within these state-by-state markets. I left them in 2019 because I wanted to get closer to the cannabis industry.
Okay.
The cannabis has always been a passion of mine, more so than finance, and I was going to move to California, but being a Jersey native and knowing what was going to be happening here on the East Coast, I ended up staying. I currently live in Madison, and I've been working as an advisor here in the area since that time. Right now, primarily, I work with Hillview Med, who is a independent cultivator from the 2019 award class. They're an interesting story. And if you remember correctly, in 2018, there was 6 licenses awarded, all
Yep.
vertically. For the most part, they went to MSOs. Hillview had applied at that time. They were not awarded a license. They reapplied in 2019 as just a cultivator. And at that point, they did not hear anything until 2021. There was lawsuits that were holding up the application and the scoring process, and it was 2 long years before they got awarded. So they finally got up and running 2022 and been selling products into the market for the past year now. So it's been really interesting to see specifically what's been happening in New Jersey, especially the
Hmm.
medical market. It had been very strong for a number of years, but as the adult use market has come online, you've really seen the attrition that you have seen in a lot of other states where the medical market certainly declines, not only from sales and from your patient standpoint, or not only from sales, but also your patient standpoint as well. And just to give you some numbers there, as I just checked earlier this morning, 93,000 patients here in the state of New Jersey as of 11/13. And there was 116,000 this time last year.
Huh.
So you can see that's a pretty dramatic drop. And there was just 98,000 only 2 months ago. But I think what is most important, and I think this can layer into a few things of what's happening on the adult use side, not only that we see here, but in other states, is sales in Q3 of last year were $61 million. On the medical side, they're only 31 million in Q2, and that's the most recent data we have of this past year. So it's almost a 50% drop in sales, where you don't even see that big of a drop with the size of the patient market. So it's been really interesting over those past 12 months to see how that's kind of all played out.
So is it because of the adult market opening up, or is it that people have decided that they don't want to use cannabis, or is it that people have decided to get their cannabis from the legacy market?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the legacy market will always be a factor, unfortunately, and always, I'd say, at least for my lifetime, maybe it gets eradicated, but I don't think so. So you do still have a strong market there. I think also what you're starting to see, as we've seen in other states, as when the adult use comes online, you know, there's new, especially in New Jersey, new dispensaries are opening up. So they're new locations, and they may be a little closer than your old medical dispensary. So I guess the point I want to make before that, though, is even just a lack of new products. So on the medical side, since the 2019 class was awarded in 2021, Hillview and only one other operator, Roots, and maybe there's another one out there, and I apologize if I don't know off the top of my head, have only entered the market. So for the past 6 years, patients have had the same exact stuff. And now that you're starting to see the adult use side of things come online, you're starting to see new products enter the adult use market. More recently, or most recently, Fernway, a producer from Massachusetts, is a new brand of vape pens that you can only buy on the adult use side of things. So if you're a medical patient and you want to try that product, it's not in the medical market, your sale is going to be in the adult use side of things. And, you know, at that point, it's like, hey, you know, all these new products are coming out. Why do I want to keep my card? But I think going back to the proximity of new locations also compounds this fact in a sense where since there is not a lot of new differentiated products, you are buying the same stuff in every location that you're going into. So the new dispensary that opened a mile away is carrying the same products that is 30 minutes away, and you're going to shop there most likely because they're running some deals, and maybe there's a discount because you're a medical patient. So it's an adult use only store. Again, it's taking you away from that medical side of things. So I think it's a number of those things, and it's just something that the state's going to have to work through. You know, unfortunately, the medical market, the legacy market will always be there. But I think the introduction of new products, new cultivators, new manufacturers getting involved in the state will help fight some of the legacy stuff as consumers become more educated on the products that they're consuming. And I think that could be another point as well. The New Jersey market, both medical and adult use side, it's very limited when you look at states like Massachusetts or Maine or Colorado or California that have been doing this for a while, and the types of beverages, edibles, brands and stuff that's out there. New Jersey has a long way to come, and I think it'll be the end of like 2024, 2025 when it really hits its stride.
Yeah, I would agree with you, 2024, 2025. And I talk a little bit about the deficiency in the products, the cultivation products, because of the fact that nobody can actually open. And also when people are being installed or stopped because of either the municipalities haven't opted in or there's some type of lawsuit. How do you think that's going to be corrected in the future? In other words, how, when you're doing your forecast of 24, 25, do you think there are going to be several new cultivation sites open up do you think they'll be successful? Because I mean, I don't know how to grow weed. I don't even know how to grow flowers or cabbage, but I know that it's hard to grow cannabis. People think it's easy, but what's your prediction about the whole cultivation movement in New Jersey, New York, and the rest of the East Coast?
Sure. Well, you know, it's funny. New Jersey and New York are almost totally different. Where in New Jersey, you have a lot of retailers with limited cultivation, and New York, you have a lot of cultivators with limited retail. And one thing that New York did was gave a lot of the hemp farmers the head start to get involved in cannabis growing. So they've had a lot of the outdoor farmers in the Hudson Valley get involved, and they're now really, you know, have such a glutton of supply, where New Jersey, you know, is the total opposite. And I think something, one of the issues is exactly what you said, that municipalities have opted out. And it's something that we've seen in Massachusetts most recently. I like to compare New Jersey to Massachusetts almost more so than New York, in the sense that the way that the municipalities have totally opted out. I think it was close to 70 to 80% of the municipalities in New Jersey opted out originally, and are now slowly allowing these different verticals in their towns. Now, when they opted out, they didn't have to opt out of everything. For example, Hillview is operating in Pequannock. We are a cultivator, but Pequannock doesn't allow any retail or anything along those side of things. So some municipalities will allow that. And I think the biggest struggle, though, on the cultivation side is capital right now. And it's something that I think everyone has been running into. I think with the more global environment, more macroeconomics have been kind of putting pressure on cannabis. Unfortunately, the past few years, just publicly, the sentiment has been really down. I didn't get a chance to go to MJ Biz last year, but I did speak to, or last week, I did speak to a few people, and they said it was muted, maybe not as well attended in the past. And I think it's just, we're kind of at the lows right now, and hopefully the lowest we've ever been in cannabis. And I think it's when we can bring in more of that capital to get these cultivators up and running, to allow them to be successful, is really when this is going to start shifting. And I think for New Jersey, what they did backwards too a little bit is allow all these they took the retail applications first.
Right.
These are kind of the easiest to get up and running, less capital intensive, and they're not growing the plant, which takes time. There's weeks to a harvest and curing and drying. So these cultivators were kind of at the end of the line in applications, and really are now only getting there up and running for some of their first harvest and production next year. I think to be a successful cultivator is don't try to do everything all at once. I think what we've seen a lot on the West Coast, and especially in Oregon, California, and even in Canada, as I read about all these 1 million square foot facilities closing down, is there's just too much product in those places. And as a cultivator, you want to be profitable from the outstart. Especially in this environment where you can't take on too much debt, or there's not a lot of capital, where you can kind of be losing money and thinking that you're going to just keep raising money every year or two until you become profitable. I'd say start small, get your expenses in line, and kind of get your brand out there. You don't need to be in every dispensary right off the bat. This is going to be around for a long time. There's going to be a lot of winners. There's going to be a lot of losers. And sometimes, it's the guys at first get their knives in their back. And now you can see all the mistakes that they have made and come in with just a better mindset and a better understanding of what this market actually is right now. I've spoken to a lot of dispensary, or not a lot of, but a few dispensary owners that have gotten involved in the medical market because the numbers were so excellent. And here we are, and the numbers are not anything that they were predicting. And now they're rushing to get into the adult use side of things.
I see that too. And I think that the problem with numbers is that, I think the saying is that you can torture the numbers to say whatever you want them to say in the end, right? It's and numbers are and you have to put the numbers in the context of where they came from. I think what we're seeing is a lot of people in the East Coast, not to say mostly Jersey right now, are experiencing some shock, because their expectations of how much money they were going to make once they finally opened is far less. Because they were touted with, oh, you're gonna make your first day of sales is going to be $500,000, and your first month you're going to be making 2 or 3 million. And those numbers, if you're a retail store, if you know that, it's not even realistic, and not enough people, unfortunately, Mark, were calling out the so-called professionals who were saying, oh yeah, it's going to be just like this state. And what that does to the market, I think, is it chills the market. It chills people's opinion of the cannabis industry when you have these high expectations and then things don't turn out the way they're supposed to. There's a real chill. So do you want to comment on that?
I think you nailed it, and I think the big chill was California. I mean, for a long time, we didn't see it as an investable state, just because it was so big, so massive, so many brands, so many different kind of factors that were going into it, very high taxes. And now you look at all the money that was poured into there, a lot of people are underwater, and it's going to be those new investors that are going to come in, but everyone has a friend that invested in something in cannabis, most likely. And they're probably not thrilled with that investment. So everyone's very just hesitant at the space right now. And I think to put it, like, as you said, there's a chill in cannabis right now, and we need to come out of it. And I don't know, I don't think anything on the federal level really is going to move it. I mean, you may get some more people that talk about it. Maybe we'll get a few more clips on CNBC like we were doing seemingly almost every day in 2019.
Yep. Yep.
But at the local level, what is that going to do for the mom and pop? You know, will they be able to work with their local bank? Maybe, but the bank might not be lending, even if safe banking passes. You know, you're going to really have to find those angel investors that find this an attractive asset that haven't looked at it before, and maybe don't have any friends that invested in the space.
Weren't burned by cannabis and you didn't see. That's kind of the. So I wanted to kind of wrap this up, and I just have one or two quick questions for you. First, you said you're from New Jersey.
I am. I was born and raised here. Grew up in Randolph. Lived in New York for the past couple of years, but moved back to Madison, New Jersey 3 years ago. It's my home base. I have a wife and almost a 1-year-old. Next week she will be
Your hair
born.
doesn't look gray enough to have a 1-year-old.
Oh, I'm hiding it. It's just it's the camera.
Don't worry. So my question is, Taylor ham or pork roll?
Taylor ham.
All right. So I know that you're from my side of the state.
Yeah, and
arguments. People down south, they do not like calling it Taylor ham. So
they don't, and I understand why. I mean, it is Taylor ham is the brand of pork roll. I get it, but it's also the best brand of pork roll, and it's Taylor ham.
So if someone wants to get in touch with you right now and work with you in whatever your projects are, what's the best way to get in touch with you, and what are you actually doing? In other words, where are you kind of focusing your attention?
Sure. You know, best would be email or phone, and I'm happy to say that now, or we can put it in text, or it's
we'll post it in the notes, but so in email or cell phone. And what are you offering? I know you're still working with Hillview, but you're doing some other things too, I think you told me.
Yeah, you know, so you know, I started off at Hillview as investor relations and communications, and I still do some of that work with them. That is some of the background I started with at Tuatara, and I do have some of the company due diligence of just understanding how these operators should be working. I think especially working with Hillview, you know, understanding, and I wasn't there for the actual licensing application, but since then I've seen them become operational and what it takes to work with the CRC, with the municipalities. I have been there while we put in another application for manufacturing. But right now I'm actually their wholesale manager. So I sell all of our flower. We are partnered with 8 dispensaries in the state right now. I keep relationships with them. I do business development within the state as well. So when we were talking, when we're doing different sales or bringing on third parties or white labeling, other out-of-state brands has kind of been my role right now, and that's really where I see my wheelhouse, given my connections and kind of network throughout the country, and knowing and my experience here in the state, and what people are trying to bring here. It's kind of what I've been up to. So yeah, primarily sales right now, but a lot of business development and just introducing good people together when I think it makes sense.
Well, listen, Mark, it was great having a discussion with you today. This is very, very helpful. And just going to sign off, wishing you the best. And tune in really soon to the next recording. So take care.
Thank you. Take care. I appreciate it, Todd.